My screen is visible to all.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is the introductory idea about evolutionary biology. Okay. So before some time, I was talking about the evolution. When we are discussing about the evolution, it means that this is the study of origin. That means from where the organism originated. Is the study of descendant. That means the generation after generation, the descendants and changes in the diversity. What kind of changes included? That means what kind of previous organism was there, how the organism is changing in the next generation, or what are the different characteristic added or loose from the previous generation. That is the changes in the diversity of life over time. So this all accumulated form is called as evolution. Am I audible to all properly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Audible.
So, as the slide shows to you, that it provides a framework for understanding the diversity of life and relationship between the organism. That this is the picture here. I'm showing the picture. Just mark this picture where I'm moving the cursor. Different kind of diversification is there. When we are talking about biodiversity, this means biological diversity, variation in biological form from micro level to the macro level, from animal to plant. Okay. So from unicellular to multicellular organism, variations are there. Got it? So what are the relationship? As they vary from each other, is there any common relationship, or in which manner they are different from each other? That is the part of discussion in this chapter. So evolutionary theory explains what? It explains about the process, like mainly natural selection, mutation, genetic drift, gene flow, and recombination, which shape the genetic makeup of the population. So gene is important, which is the main hereditary material, is the important component for evolution. If there is change in genetic characteristic, then only we can say that there is change in. Who is writing that? My mail is showing. Any problem to anybody? Sunanda या Sunita, my slide is not visible to you or to all.
All, sir.
All of you, all of you can see the slide.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, just a minute.
Sir, instead of slide, Gmail page is visible.
Email
Yes,
page
sir.
is now.
Yes, sir. Only the Gmail page is visible and nothing else.
Now is it visible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All the slides are visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, uh, in case of evolution, when we are discussing the key concept, basic concept of evolution, we come across evolution, common descendant, speciation, adaptation, phylogeny, natural selection, genetic drift, mutation, gene flow. Before some time, I told you that gene is playing an important role. So, without genetic change, without change in the genetic characteristic, we can't imagine the concept of evolution. Okay. So now come to the next, the pre-Darwinian concept of evolution. That means we all know that Darwin is considered as the father of evolution because his contribution was tremendous to the field of evolution. It doesn't mean that Darwin, whatever he said, everything correct. There are so many changes on Darwin's theory. But at the first time, what Darwin told, that was not told by other scientists regarding evolution. There is a great history regarding Darwin's concept of evolution, how he moved to the voyage, how he joined the team of voyage, how he explored himself and he moved to different places of the world at his world tour from 1831 to 36. And in that 5 year journey, whatever observation he made, he accumulated all the observations in his book, Origin of Species, and the book was published in 1859. But before Darwin, other scientists also they had a great role in the field of evolution. First of all, we should discuss on that concept, then come to Darwinian concept. In this slide, I have mentioned certain things, but I'll tell you who other scientists are who are responsible for the process of evolution or who are responsible for the theory of evolution, giving the theory of evolution to the mankind. So first, before Charles Darwin, the concept of species being immutable, that means unchanging, was widely accepted. However, several early thinkers and scientists proposed idea that hinted at evolution. That means before the concept of evolution, nobody cares for evolution, nobody cares for changing because they didn't have any idea about the changing. Everybody thought that this is the God gifted concept. Organism is there means there is no change in organismal property. But so many scientists they gave first idea that yes, there is change. Like your ancient and early ideas given by Anaximander, like in 610 to 546 BC. He proposed that life began in water and later moved to land. At that time, they gave the idea. After that, Empedocles also suggested that body parts arose separately and combined randomly to form creatures. These are ideas provided by them. They didn't uh, prove themselves, but they, from their observation, they only provided the idea. Aristotle, the great Aristotle, all we know the name of Aristotle, little bit or a lot. What he advocated that the fixity of species. Am I audible? If audible, it is called as the fixity of species. That means species are unchanging and arranged in a hierarchy. Here also, Aristotle's scala nature was presented in a university that he proposed a great chain of being where all life forms could be arranged in a linear hierarchy from simple organism to more complex organism, ones like human. This was not an evolutionary idea, but it suggested an organization of life. What does it mean? Organization of life. It doesn't have any evolutionary concept, but how the life is formed, how species arrange to form the population, how there is change in population, which factors are responsible for change in genetic frequency. In the latter phase, we'll discuss. When we are discussing about Hardy-Weinberg principle, we are going to discuss about the population genetics. So that how the population is formed, how the population is responsible for the change. That is the idea first provided by Aristotle. That means the organization of life. Then Carlos Linnaeus, 18th century, he developed taxonomy, classification. That means how they are arranged in the life form. Because also here we are going to discuss about the diversity. If we cannot classify the organism in a proper way, we can diversify those organisms. Okay. Then Quiver, another scientist, he also proposed the idea of catastrophism. That means the species were created and destroyed by natural disasters. That means nature is responsible and its change, natural changes are responsible for the formation and destroying the species. He was an advocate for species being immutable, that means unchanged, and opposed evolutionary ideas. So these are all history about the evolution. All of you uh, got some idea about the history of evolution. These are very basic things about the history of evolution. But till now, there is no idea about evolution. This is just a pre-evolution concept. Is it audible to all? If audible, say me yes or no.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, it is audible.
Have you got some idea about pre-evolution concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Then, before Darwin, another famous scientist, I think all you know him. The name of that scientist is Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck, who proposed the idea of Lamarckism. Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck, 1744 to 1829. He first proposed or spoke about the concept of evolution. It's known as Lamarckism or theory of inheritance of acquired characteristics. Here, two things are there. One is, just mark here, inheritance of acquired characteristic. Inheritance means generation after generation. If something is passing on, that means that is known as inheritance. And acquired characteristic in our lifestyle, what kind of characteristic we acquire from the surrounding, that is called as acquired characteristic. Okay, so these three things, the important three things are mentioned in the slide. You can mark here. The slide express the Lamarckism, the concept of Lamarckism in a simple manner. First, changes produced in the environment force the species to adapt to environment by modifying certain organs depending upon their use or disuse. So just mark the bold letter, modifying certain organs depending upon their use and disuse. This is the first concept of Lamarck, use and disuse of organ. So what is that use and disuse of organ? Listen it carefully, students. We all are living in the environment. The environment is known as dynamic environment. It's not static environment. That means at a regular interval, the time may not be a fixed time, but at interval or gradually the environment is changing. In the changing environment, the concept is called as dynamic environment. If the environment is fixed, it is called as static environment. But we all are living in a dynamic environment. Maybe the process is slow, but there is change occur in the environment. Just I am giving one example. Before 10 years, the average global temperature, whatever the average global temperature was there, nowadays the average global temperature in this 10 year is changing or rising to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. This is the dynamism of the environment. Okay. So, according to Lamarck, if the environment is changing, I'm giving just one example. So many challenges are there. If the environment is changing, that means that create a force on the organism. If there is no food present in the environment, if drought is there, if flood is there, all these kind of challenges due to environment is creating a pressure on the organism. And to bear that pressure, organism try to develop its property. Try to develop its property means here Lamarck mentioned that organism use or disuse certain characteristics, certain organs. Okay, let's take the example of giraffe. In the ancient time, it was written, in the pre-evolutionary period, it was written that the giraffe in the ancient time was horse-like, very dwarf. But the number of giraffe during course of time was increasing in a lot or in a tremendous manner, which influence the nutritional source of the environment. That means the number of giraffe or the increasing number of giraffe consuming a lot of food, lot of nutrition, lot of green vegetables, lot of green leaves. And the consequences was there was decrease in the production. That means the manner they engulf, the manner they eat, nature unable to produce that substance in same time or same speed. That's why the nutritional source is getting decreased day by day, and all the organism they face challenges. Environment was putting a pressure on the organism. The consequences was, just look at this picture. When giraffe was small, at this height, whatever tree was available, whatever leaf was available, that giraffe can only pluck that leaf. But they unable to pluck the leaf which is present at its upper height. Not audible. Any confusion to anyone? Is there any problem?
No, sir. No, sir.
All of you are getting
No
this or
problem, sir.
not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when the food availability is here at the near to the mouth, then only the giraffe can pluck the food. Then only the giraffe can pluck the leaf. But at this height, all the giraffe they consume the food. That means there is scarcity of food, and food availability is at their upper side, at their upper portion, where they unable to stretch their neck. That is the pressure of the environment. That means they try to use their neck. Some of the giraffe, they use their neck, but maximum giraffe, due to their laziness, due to their disabilities, they unable to elongate their neck. That was the concept in the first point Lamarck mentioned. Use or disuse of organs. So what happened? As a result, the original characteristics or characters are slowly being replaced by series of acquired characteristics. That means those organisms which do not use their neck during course of time, they discarded from the nature. They are unable to survive in the nature. But those that try to elongate their neck, they only can plug the food and they survived according to Lamarck. Okay. In the second point, Lamarck described that acquired characteristics are inheritable. That means in the previous diagram, the giraffe tried to elongate its neck. That means in environment or due to environmental pressure, the stretching of neck is the acquired characteristic which is transferring to the next generation, which is inherited to the next generation. That is inheritance of acquired characteristic, and generation after generation, the neck become elongated. So organism evolved from simple to complex form. That means just look at the fourth one and just look at the first one. There is a hell and heaven difference between these two. And the change is not a sudden change. So many intermediate forms are there. That means always evolution is a gradual form, not a sudden form. According to Lamarck, evolution is not a sudden form, it's a gradual form and slow form. And only the acquired characteristics are transferred to the next generation. So this is all about the Lamarckism. I think all of you clear about Lamarckism,
Yes, sir.
but whatever Lamarck explained that time, so many criticisms are there. Lamarck unable to prove. We all are science students, we believe in the proof, but Lamarck at that time, certain people they accept Lamarck, they accepted Lamarck at that time. They believe that whatever Lamarck is saying, that was correct. But after some research, after some years, certain scientists in 1890s, there is a strong uh, component of general upsurge in biological thought. That means so many things have changed due to new discovery, due to new proof, scientific proof. Okay. So what are major objections raised against Lamarckism? The first one is the tendency to increase the size has been shown in many forms. There are also instances where reduction in size, for example, trees are primitively larger in size, while the shrubs, herbs, grasses that evolve later are smaller in size. That's a very good example. Just try to understand. Scientists explain that according to Lamarck, if the organism is using itself or organism is using its characteristic due to changing environment, generation after generation, that characteristic is increasing. But scientists explain that when trees were in the primitive or ancient time, evolutionary time, there was huge trees, but grasses and other shrubs, herbs, they come from those trees. So this is a mismatch from Lamarckian concept. The next one, if the new organs were to develop in response to a new need, then man should have developed wings by now. All we have desire to fly. If every day we are moving to a height and try to jump and try to fly, then according to Lamarck, till date, we should develop our wings. But such kind of things not possible. So many interesting examples are there. So this concept severely object the Lamarckian theory. And another important property which vehemently opposed Lamarckian theory was the inherited property. Inherited property means Lamarck says that all the inherited property change to the next generation. But all we know that if a person lose his hand by accident, that means that is one type of inherited property. Lose his eye by accident, that is another kind of inherited property. In that case, the next generation coming from that person is not limbless or blind. So this concept oppose Lamarckian theory. Earlier, I said that scientists, they propose their idea, but time after time, the idea was got more clarification due to more research. Okay, certain scientists, they just said that Lamarckian theory was correct, but neo-Lamarckism is at its important view that certain things added to Lamarckian theory and that is acceptable. And that concept is coming under the neo-Lamarckism. So what neo-Lamarckism explained us? It's a modification of the original theory of Lamarck in order to make it more suitable to modern knowledge. Neo-Lamarckism does not give any importance to these factors. The theory stresses on the direct effect of change environment on the organism. Normally, only those modifications are transferred to the next generation which influence germ cells. This is very important part of neo-Lamarckism. Neo-Lamarckism explained that yes, environment has a great impact on organismal change. Without environmental change, organism unable to change itself. But if environmental change is affecting the genetic property, which is inherited to the next generation, not to the somatic property, it's the germinal property. Two cells are there in our body. One is somatic cell, another is germinal cell. Somatic cell means the cell which are in contact to the surrounding environment. They're directly affected by the surrounding environment. They unable to change to the next generation. But germinal cells, they proceed to the next generation through the gametes. So environment, if affect the germinal cell, then only they can pass to the next generation, and that is the basis of evolution. I think Lamarckism, the criticism to Lamarck, and neo-Lamarckism, clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If any confusion, you can WhatsApp
Sir,
to me.
sir, please,
If any,
sir, please describe the last point of neo-Lamarckism. Examples
just,
of germ cells.
okay. Two cells are there in our body. If we'll take our skin cell and if take our gamete, the sperm or ovum. In the second case, the cell present there at the germinal cell. But in the first case, the skin cell is considered as somatic cell. Just a minute, I'm just explaining. Somatic cells are body cells. That means the diploid cells not involved in the reproduction process. That is the very explanatory concept. They do not take part in the process of reproduction. When we are talking about sexual reproduction, one gamete from male, another gamete from female, they unite to form the zygote. But in that case, whatever cells are involved, they are called as germinal cells. But apart from that, all the cells are known as somatic cells. So whatever changes in our body due to environment affect the somatic cell, they are unable to pass the next generation. Somatic cells generally they take part in the body maintenance, but germinal cells they take part in the reproduction process, not the body maintenance process. Now got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We see the location of somatic cells is a skin cell, muscle cell, nerve cell, all these kind of cells are the somatic cells. But sperms, egg, all these are the germinal cells. So this is the concept. The last point explains if environment is causing, according to Lamarck, environment is only responsible. That means environmental pressure. When I am talking about environment, that means that is the environmental pressure. Environmental pressure means due to change in environment, whatever pressure is created, that is called as environmental pressure. And that pressure, if affect the germinal cells, then only they are responsible for changing in next generation. Generation after generation, that characteristic is passing. So there might that concept happen in case of giraffe. Stretching of neck is the genetic property. Whatever external characteristic we are seeing, the color, the height, the nature, everything is maintained by our gene. If there is gene is influenced due to environment, and at that time the small giraffe's gene or dwarf giraffe's gene was influenced by the environment, environmental pressure, and that gene is responsible for elongation of their neck generation after generation. That might happen, but we don't know. Evolution is always a hypothetical concept. We don't have any 100% proof to the evolution. We can hypothesize that this might happen. Certain proofs are there, but those proofs are not 100% proofs. 80 to 90% truth are there. Basing on that truth, we can say that this is the concept of evolution. Okay. So this is all about Lamarckian concept. After Lamarckism, the Darwin, the great Darwin, father of evolution. So in your course, pre-Darwinian period and post-Darwinian period was there. So we all discussed about the pre-Darwinian period. Now we'll discuss about the Darwinism, and after that we'll discuss about the post-Darwinism. So Darwin, Charles Darwin, 1809 to 1882, the lifespan. Charles Darwin. Uh, he was famous are known as father of evolution, already mentioned in your slide. Lamarck was the first who talked about evolution. But whatever evolutionary concept was provided by Darwinism. So only those characteristics whose information resides in gene are inherited. This concept was provided by Darwinism. But Darwin at that time, he didn't get this idea. His concept was in the future evaluated by more scientists after discovery of genetics. And they explained that whatever Darwin told in his theory based on that genetic property. Okay, so the theory of evolution or Darwinism was not solely developed by Darwin, another scientist also responsible in the same manner because he also provided the idea about natural selection, whose name was Alfred Russel Wallace. We are going to discuss about the natural selection, how natural selection is very important. So this is the last point. Just look at the last point. A 5-year trip, the voyage from London, in which he made numerous observations and collected a lot of information with which he was able to elaborate his theory on the origin of species by means of natural selection, which was very famous. Natural selection concept was very famous in evolutionary history. What Darwin explained in his theory, these are the key concept, key ideas of Darwinian theory. Whatever idea Darwin provided, this is the summarization of this Darwin's theory. The first theory he told about variation. That means individuals, though they belong to the same species, if we are talking about human, all the human, they belong to the same species. The Homo sapiens, the species is the sapiens, but still there is variation. Variation in color, variation in height, variation in characteristic, variation in different muscular activities. Everywhere we can see the variation. That is the first key idea provided by Darwin. Okay, again I am saying this is the summary of Darwinian concept. In brief, I just described what Darwin explained in his theory. Second thing, he explained about heritability. That means whatever variations observed in the generation, some variation, not all the variations, pass to the next generation. If variations pass to the next generation, that is responsible for evolution. Because due to variation, the next organism is different from previous organism. I think all of you clear about variation and heritability.
Yes, sir.
Sir, please repeat once again.
When I'm talking about variation, why variation is there? We all are human beings, but why there is variation? It is due to environment. Just look at a uh, broader concept. Look at the people of China. Look at the people of India. Even look at the people of North India and look at the people of South India. There is a great color difference. Why? This is due to the environmental condition, the environmental temperature, the environmental pressure, the environmental humidity. All these things are responsible for color variation. The Indian people, the European people, the Indian people, the Chinese people. Just look at their facial expression. Just look at their body color. Just look at their body musculature. everything is different because they are surviving in different environment. We are surviving in different environment. That is the main cause of variation. So in this point, Darwin accepts Lamarckian concept that is environment is only responsible for variation in the organism. But in the second concept, Darwin explained that all the variations are not transferred to the next generation. Before some time, I have explained the new Darwinism concept, new Lamarckism concept. Whatever variations acquired in germinal cells, they are transforming to the next generation, not all the variation. That is here, the variability and heritability concept explain the variations which are present in the gene of germinal cell, they only pass on to the next generation, not all. Okay. So these two things are very important. Come to the third one. Differential survival and reproduction. So what is differential survival and reproduction? All the individuals, they try to survive. Just think yourself. We all are human beings. Every time our desire is to create human being, we all want human being in our surrounding, not elephant, not tiger, not lion. We don't want to keep lion in our home. We want to keep human in our surrounding. That is the desire of every organism, that all the organism try to produce its own progeny. All the organism, they have internal desire to produce their own species, not others. But biodiversity concept is not like that. It is the organismal concept. Organism try to develop its own organism, not all the organism. But biodiversity try to develop all the kind of diversity life. Okay, that is the basic difference. So different survival and reproduction rate means in changing environment, variability is responsible for different survival rate. If we are talking about food scarcity, let's talk about the food scarcity in a particular area in which the population number was 100. But out of 100, the food scarcity could affect 90 species. That means 90 species discarded from the population. They become dead. They are unable to struggle. But out of this 100, 10 species, they fought with the hungry. They fought with that situation, they fought with that environmental condition. That is different survival rate. All the organisms belong to the same population, means same species. But 90 become dead, 10 become survived. That is differential survival rate. If survival rate is different, reproductive rate is also different, which is the basic concept of natural selection. If organism is not surviving, there is no meaning of production of new generation. If organism is surviving at its different survival rate, they only can produce next generation with change. That is the concept of natural selection, basic concept of natural selection. Gradualism is another important property of Darwinism. Gradualism is that evolutionary changes occur gradually over time, over period. That is not a speed process. It's generation after generation. Slow characteristics are added or lost generation after generation. Then After so many generations, we find a new species, which is called as speciation. That is formation of new species. This is the basic or brief discussion about Darwinian concept. Again, I am summarize the Darwinian concept. In the first thing, Darwin explained that enormous fertilization, all the organisms they try to produce their own progeny in a rapid manner. You can think about bacteria, the smallest organism. You can think about elephant, the largest organism. Every organism they try to produce their own progeny. All the progeny they struggle with each other for their survivability, which is coming under different survival rate. Struggle with each other means they struggle with each other for their resources, for the space, for the food, for every kind of resources. And at last, the fit one will survive, not all. The fit among the all can survive, not the losers can survive, which is the concept of natural selection. And the survived species can reproduce the next fit concept, the fit species, which is called as speciation. Which is unfit, they are the previous generation. Which is fit, they are the next generation. That is the concept of speciation from one generation to another generation. I've got some idea about Darwinism.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in this box, just look at here, the right side corner. Natural selection is Darwin's most famous theory. What it states, evolutionary changes comes through the production of variation in each generation and differential survival of individual with different combinations of these variable characters. Already I have
Sir,
explained.
sir,
Yes,
please cite an example of natural selection.
yes, very good. We are going to discuss about the example of natural selection in the next slide. Just look at this picture. The left one is the hypothetical diagram. The right one is the real diagram. Have you heard about moth
Yes, sir.
industrialization?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Western Betullaria. Western Betullaria was the moth species which was present before industrialization. What happened after industrialization? Just look at the left diagram, this one. I think switch off your mic. Okay. In the previous diagram, the left condition, sorry, in the left diagram, this one. Here, the moth color is white, but this moth color is dark. Just look at this picture or the background where they reside. Before industrialization, there was no soot deposition. Industries, when the running the industries from the chimneys, so many very fine dust particles, black dust particles known as soot, they are coming outside to the environment and they sit on different surfaces. But in the diagram where there was no evolution in the generation zero means there is no industrialization, there was no soot deposition. The trunk of the tree was white because the lichens present on the trunk of the tree was white. There was no soot deposited on that trunk of the tree. That's why the moth species which were white, they camouflage themselves with the surrounding. Again, I'm saying the moth species which are white, they camouflage themselves with the surrounding. All of you clear? But the dark one, just look at this picture. The white one, they camouflage themselves, but the dark one clearly visible due to their contrasting color nature. Contrasting color nature means this color is white, this color is dark. So it is clearly visible, and that can be easily detected by the predator. Okay, so here, what are the environmental challenge? Environmental challenge was the purity of the atmosphere. When there is no pollution, there is no soot deposition. When there is no soot deposition, all the moths which are white in color, they survived in a large number because they camouflage themselves. Look at this diagram. This is the real picture of this white moth. Here the color was white and this moth camouflage themselves, but this moth clearly visible due to the contrasting color, and this can be easily picked up by the predator bird. But so nature at that time select which one? The white color moth. That means the white color moth only survive themselves with the environmental condition, or they adapt themselves with the environmental condition. But the dark color, they unable to adapt themselves. Unable to hide means unable to adapt. Nature will give you only the situation. Your duty is to check yourself. Your duty is to protect yourself. Nature will not protect you. Nature only can give you situation. If you are fit, you can protect yourself. If you are unfit, nature will not protect you. Nature will discard you simply. This is the concept. What happened in the next several generations after? What happened? There was industrialization. That means so many soot deposition are there. This is the color. After soot deposition on white lichen, the trunk of the tree become dark. In the same manner, the dark color moth, they hide themselves clearly, or they camouflage themselves clearly, but the visibility of white one on the dark surface was very clear. The predatory birds, they directly pick those organisms, and their number is decreasing day by day. So in the changing environment condition, the dark color moth, they are selected by nature because they developed adaptation to the natural condition. But the white color moth, they decreased. They unable to adapt themselves. They unable to hide themselves. That is the condition of natural selection. The fit one will survive. Fit means not the manner of eating food, not the manner of tall or dwarf. It means adaptation. It means how the organism is surviving, how the organism is reproducing. If the organism is surviving properly, if the organism is reproducing properly, that is the concept of fitness. I think all of you clear about the example.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you enjoying the class, or it's boring?
Yes, sir.
No, no, sir. We are enjoying. We are enjoying very much,
We are
sir.
enjoying, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Enjoying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now come to the post-Darwinian concept. So, according to your syllabus, we covered pre-Darwinism. Now, we discussed about the Darwinism. Now, come to the post-Darwinian concept. So, post-Darwinian concept explain first about Mendelian concept of genetics, because without genetics, evolution is not possible. I think
Please, Rasmita, mute.
Rasmita, mute your voice.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
Okay. So Gregor Johann Mendel, all of you heard his name, Gregor Johann Mendel, who is known as the father of genetics, contributed a lot to the field of evolution and genetics. Without genetics, without genetical modification, evolution is not possible, because whatever changes occurred in the germinal characteristic, it means the changes occurred in the gene property of the germinal characteristic, which can be transferred to the next generation through the gamete. Okay, so while Darwin's work lacked a clear understanding, that means Darwin explained about the fittest. Which one is fit? They can survive. Darwin only said that concept. But in criticism to Darwin, the scientist, when asked him, how you got the fit one? Which one is responsible? How the black moth and white moth belong to the same genera? How they differ in color? How one developed black color, how another developed white color? How at one time the black color was the fittest? How at the next time the white color was the fittest? Darwin unable to explain those, because he only explained about the survival of the fittest. He didn't explain about the arrival of the fittest. Arrival of the fittest in the neo-Darwinism explained by other scientists, how the fit one will arise. What is the reason behind that? How these color variations are there? And for that, Mendel, he played an important role. Mendel's work was discovered in early 20th century, leading to the integration of genetics with evolutionary theory. If Mendel was not there at that time, there was no meaning of evolution. Okay. So modern synthesis, the post-Darwinian concept, modern synthesis explained what? It explained about neo-Darwinism. That means integration of Darwin evolution and Mendelian genetics. So many scientists like Ronald Fisher and JBS Halden, Sewell Wright, Ernst Mayr, Julian Huxley, all these scientists, they have a great role for this modern synthesis. At that time, many people, they rejected Darwinism. That Darwin, whatever he said was wrong, because he unable to explain about the arrival of fittest. But these scientists, they said that Darwin's concept was not wrong. Darwin unable to explain his concept. They explained his concept in a better way, which is called as modern synthesis, modern synthetic theory. Okay, so what this modern synthetic theory was emphasized? That evolution is gradual and result from small genetic changes. If there is change in gene, that leads to the evolution. Natural selection is acting. The second point of this modern synthesis, the natural selection is acting. Yes, there is natural selection, but natural selection acts on genetic variation. That means in the previous example, this dark color and white color, they are the morphological color, but this morphological characteristic are guided by the genetic characteristic. So natural selection is acting on genetic property. And in the third point, speciation occurs as populations become reproductively isolated. Speciation occurs as the population become reproductively isolated. Just come to the picture again. When there is dark color and white color, the dark color species, though they belong to the same genera, they can interbreed with each other. They can copulate, they can mate with each other, they can produce their own progeny. But the coloration make a gap between them. They are unable to mix, they are unable to come and mate with the white because there is a reproductive barrier. What was the reproductive barrier? The coloration, body coloration was the reproductive barrier. So many examples are there. If the organism is reproductively isolated, that means if A is the organism, after 10th generation, certain characteristics are added one by one. Just look at the giraffe example here. This giraffe height was very small, dwarf giraffe. But this giraffe was very big and tall. This is a gradual process. This is not a slow process. After certain generation, after many generations, certain characteristics added and the same species become the different. There is no genetic difference. If genetic difference are there, the genetic difference can be adjusted, but this giraffe, due to its morphological characteristic, they unable to copulate, they are unable to mate with this giraffe after certain generations. This is known as reproductive isolation. And this reproductive isolation is responsible for speciation. That means in evolutionary concept, we can say it as this is one species, this is another species, because all the characteristics of this species are not present in the characteristics of this species. This has a very narrow and short neck, but this narrow and short neck completely changed to long neck in this giraffe. This is known as the speciation. If speciation is there, that is the role for evolution. So this is the concept of neo-Darwinism. Then post-synthesis development, the molecular evolution, natural theory of molecular evolution, evolutionary developmental biology, everything, they contribute a lot. DNA sequencing, the mutation concept, everything, they contribute a lot, which are responsible for the evolution. Discovery of DNA structure, understanding the genetic basis of evolution, comparative genomics of evolutionary relationship, everything. They, time after time, add certain important idea on the evolutionary theory. Okay, so post-Darwinism explained about the integration of genetics and evolution. Pre-Darwinism or Darwinism was not told about genetics and evolution. Okay, so this part already I have discussed. Just look at this bold letter things: inheritance of acquired characteristic, genetic variability, everything we have discussed. In that property, Darwin accept Lamarckian theory. The natural selection leads to change in the set of allele in a population. Then if there is change, evolution of population occurs. That evolution is a gradual process, not a immediate process. If evolution is there, after some generation, the species completely reproductively isolated from the original species, which is called as the speciation. The last point, explanation. I think all of you clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now we'll go to the next part. How life originated. These all are the history about evolution. Kindly mute your voice. All whatever we discussed everything about evolution and its history. Now we'll go for the next part.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Actually, what is the difference between species and speciation?
Your voice, I think,
Look,
not audible properly. If I'm right, your question is what is the difference between species and speciation?
yes, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, species and speciation. If we are talking about a population, population means a group of individuals. If we are talking about human population, that means it's a group of individuals. But if we are talking about speciation, if we are talking about group of individual, each individual is considered as a species. But on the other hand, if we are talking about speciation, the process by which the new species evolved from the previous one, that is known as, just look at this picture. This is a group of population. This is another group. Okay. This is the individual. They form the population. That means each red one is one species. But after certain generation, if the red one become the yellow, due to any change, any mutated property, any evolutionary essence, anything, if this change to next, or they have 6 limbs, if in the next generation they have 7 limbs, that means the next generation is new characteristic bearing species, which is isolated from the previous generation. How the new species was formed, that concept is known as speciation concept. Natural selection is responsible, gene flow is responsible, everything is responsible. But species means whatever individual is present, that is called as species. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So now come to the next slide. How life originated on Earth and which is the genetic material help in life formation. So for that, we are going to discuss about RNA world hypothesis and origin and evolution of life. The next part of your syllabus, the RNA world hypothesis. In each uh, class, we are going to complete one unit. Okay. So in brief discussion, I am trying to cover all the things because you have very limited time. Only in these 4 days, we have to complete all. That's why cooperate with me, cooperate in the class, try to understand. If any confusion, you are free to talk. You are free to pin me through my WhatsApp, through message. Okay. At my free time, I can clear your doubt.
Sir, WhatsApp number?
Write down, it's 82800 39012.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so
Sir,
now
can you please repeat?
82800 39012. 82800, sorry, 82800 39012.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
so RNA world hypothesis. We all know that when life originated on Earth, the first thing, uh, just look at this picture. When there was no life on Earth, that means that is called as the primitive environment, primitive atmosphere, which was considered as the reducing atmosphere. There was no life. Subsequently, these are different steps by which certain substances are formed. Earth was a fireball at that time. The temperature was 1000 lakh degrees Celsius. But we all know that when there is radiation of heat, the things getting colder and colder. Same thing happened to the Earth. When there was 1000 degrees Celsius present on the Earth, life was not there on the Earth. The atmosphere was completely reducing atmosphere. No free oxygen was there. No water availability was there, which are very essential for the life. So primitive atmosphere was life lacking atmosphere. Subsequently, what happened when the temperature of Earth is getting reduced day after day, day by day? What happens? Certain things they accumulated, they combine with each other, they form certain simple substances, they form certain complex substances in this manner. Just look at these steps. In the primitive atmosphere, some three atoms were available like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Oxygen was there, but oxygen was not in its molecular form, which is essential for us. Oxygen was in its atomic form, which we are unable to accept. We cannot accept the atomic form of oxygen. We can accept the molecular form of oxygen. O2 form, not O form. Okay. So after that, what happens? Energy was continuously there. Heat energy from the sun, heat energy from the volcanic eruptions, then lightning, the current from the lightning. So from everywhere, we got, or the earth surface got a lot of energy. And those energy are responsible for combining these simple substances combinations are due to the energy available at this form. These are the source of energy. These are volcanic eruptions, lightning, solar light. Okay. So abiotic synthesis of monomers from simple inorganic compounds like hydrogen, hydrogen combined with atomic oxygen, they form water vapor, ammonia, methane. All these are the simple substances. They form the inorganic substances. And when these inorganic substances they combine at the cloud, there was no water on the surface of the earth because earth temperature was high. If rain was there, the rain immediately moves out because temperature was more than 100 degrees Celsius. So everything combined fast at the atmospheric water.
Daddy.
Please mute Sagar.
Okay. So these simple inorganic substances they combine to form amino acids, purines, pyrimidines, monosaccharides, fatty acid, glycerol. All these are the simple organic substances. So first thing are the simple substances, then simple inorganic substances, then simple organic substances. Okay, these simple organic substances or the monomers, they combine to form polymers. They form proteins. Amino acid they arrange to form proteins. These purine, pyrimidines, they are responsible for formation of nucleic acid, DNA, RNA. But first, RNA was formed. We are going to that topic, and then DNA. Then fatty acids, they form the fat, polysaccharides. Okay, so monosaccharides form the polysaccharides. These are the sequential matter. Evolution is gradual. Evolution is not a immediate thing. It's a gradual thing. Already I have explained. So this is the process. This is the process of gradualism. So when these substances form, at that time, Earth reduce its temperature. That means less than 100 degrees Celsius. When Earth temperature become less than 100 degrees Celsius, the rainwater with this material come to the Earth surface and form the primitive ocean. Okay, so the primitive ocean has all these component fat, protein, nucleic acid, polysaccharide, whatever polymers we have discussed. All these are present in the primitive atmosphere. Due to this continuous supply of energy, the these polymers in the primitive ocean they combine with each other. This is a trial and error process. This is not a we can say it as pre-planned manner. It was not pre-planned. It was a trial and error. Sometimes some polysaccharide they mix with fat. Sometimes the polysaccharide mix with proteins. Sometimes the polysaccharide mix with nucleic acid. So when polysaccharide mix with protein, they form certain complexes. Polysaccharide mixed with fat, they form certain complexes. When polysaccharide mixed with fat, protein, and nucleic acid, they form certain complexes. So it's a trial and error method. Permutation combinations are there. It was not pre-planned. It was by chance. But by chance substances, when all these substances get together and covered by this lipid bilayer, that cannot be destroyed by the water surface, surrounding water surface, and they become the coacervates. That means the lipid bilayer membrane make them isolated. The coacervates are not life. The coacervates are the pre-life substances. Before life, they were present. Because why coacervate was not considered as the life? Because coacervate does not have DNA or RNA. Though nucleic acid materials are there, they are not in active form. They are unable to regulate the cellular property at that time, or they might not enter into the cell. Anything might happen to this because evolution is only hypothesis. That might happen. Repeatedly, I'm saying evolution is only hypothesis. So coacervate was formed, microsphere was formed. When this coacervate or microsphere they engulf nucleic acid, the nucleic acid try to maintain the cell size, the cell surface, and regeneration of cells, generation of new cells from the original cell. At that time, here the last or fourth point is there. Origin of nucleic acid and protein control the metabolism inside the lipid membrane. That means whatever substances are coming to the cell, how the cell is using that substances, what is the byproduct they are creating, what is essential substance they have to reside, what are the byproduct they have to release. Everything is controlled by this nucleic acid structure. And according to Oparin and Halden, that time between the coacervate or microsphere, they adopt nucleic acid themselves, and the nucleic acid is regulating the property of the cell. They become the cell. Okay, this is the concept of Oparin and Haldane. And this Oparin-Haldane concept was proved by Miller-Urey experiment. After Oparin-Haldane concept, Miller-Urey took the primitive atmospheric substances. Already we have discussed in primitive atmospheric substances, water vapor is there, hydrogen there, methane there, ammonia there. Okay. So Miller-Urey, in their experiment, they took a glass flask here with all these essential substances. Essential substances like methane, ammonia, and hydrogen. Closed glass flask with all these substances, and they provide water vapor to them by boiling water. So everything primitive atmosphere have available at this condition. And for the energy, they provide this tungsten rod or electrode and charge them with 1800 degrees Celsius. After 15 to 18 days, what he got, he observed an interesting concept. He observed certain water droplets here, and the water droplets, whatever he collected, was completely different from these raw materials. He got certain amino acids from this, but amino acids are not primitively there. It explains that yes, that time might these things happen. So many substances, they combine to form the structure, cellular structure. All of you clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And those cellular structure which adopt nucleic acid, which kind of nucleic acid they adopt first? They adopt first RNA. That's why the chapter RNA world hypothesis has its important. What RNA world hypothesis explains? Early life on Earth was based on RNA or ribonucleic acid rather than DNA or protein. It's a very interesting thing that we all know that RNA was unstable, or we can say it as it is less stable than DNA. And evolutionary history explains us what? It explains us that unstable substances produced fast, then the stable substances. From that conclusion, we can say that RNA was produced fast in early life in comparison to DNA. So we can say that life could have originated from non-living molecules. Already we have discussed certain chemical substances are responsible for formation of life, like hydrogen, water vapor, ammonia, methane. They are responsible for formation of life. Their combinations are responsible for formation of life. We can say it as chemogeny, chemical evolution of life. That means the chemical combinations are responsible for formation of biological entities, which in further called as biogeny. Formation of chemicals, formation of biological substances. Okay. So what its background explains us? The modern cells, DNA stores the genetic material. In our case, DNA stores the genetic material. But how this DNA was formed? They first converted to RNA. RNA transmits this genetic information. DNA unwind to form the RNA, then only that can produce the next DNA. And in RNA world, RNA perform both the role. Ribose, nucleic acid. It is strong genetic information like DNA and catalyzing biological reaction like ribozyme. Okay, so this is the hypothesis which explains that RNA was first substances which was present in the primitive cell. Just look at this slide. Why RNA? RNA world hypothesis explains us what? Try to understand it properly. RNA world hypothesis explains us what? That early life on Earth was based on RNA molecule that could store genetic information and catalyze chemical reaction. Already we have discussed that primitively the cells, they unable to catalyze or metabolic activity was not performed in the primitive cell. But when genetic information is available, they perform metabolic activities. And that genetic information, very simple substances have multiple role, that storing genetic information and catalyzing chemical reactions. Both are performed by RNA, not by DNA. That's why we conclude that RNA was the first, then the DNA. Okay, so come to these points. Why this RNA? It's a simple structure in comparison to DNA. Already I have explained. The simple structure comes first, then the complex one. So, making it possible early biomolecules. In next point, it was explained that it can act both as replicating molecule and catalyst. The primitive cell, they don't have many complexity. We have so many complexities. We have so many different cells for different function, but primitive organism has single cell for different function. That's why it requires very less substances to perform many functions. In that manner, RNA was the first component which has both catalytic activity as well as genetic or storage activity, genetic information storage activity. Okay, so this RNA was the first molecule in comparison to DNA in the primitive cells. Then ribozyme. When ribozyme was discovered in 1880s, it provided key support for RNA world hypothesis. Ribozymes are RNA molecules with enzymatic activities, demonstrating that RNA can function as both genetic material and a catalyst, which was the very essential functional entity of the primitive cell. Already I have explained that a single substance can have multiple function in the primitive cells, which was performed by the RNA. And its self-replicating nature. DNA replication through RNA, but RNA replication not through DNA. It can self-replicate, it has self-replicating property. Okay, so modern biological systems rely on proteins to replicate DNA. The RNA world hypothesis suggests that early RNA molecule could have catalyzed their own replication. or the replication of RNA or the RNA molecule. So in brief, we are discussing this thing. If people not clear about replication, not clear about molecular biology, a little bit difficult to understand this thing because I don't have much time to explain all these molecular biology concepts. So you people has to read at least the molecular biology, what is the phenomenon of replication, how DNA replicate, what is the functional ability of DNA, how it replicate to next through the RNA, what is the catalytic activity, everything is in molecular biology. You have to read it first. I think all these things are in the graduation level. Okay, then only you can understand it properly. Not a rocket science is there. Only you have to read, then only you can understand. Okay, so in the concluding remark of this RNA world hypothesis, what are the evidences that support RNA world hypothesis? The first evidence, just a minute. Already we have discussed the dual role of RNA, genetic role, as RNA like DNA can store, transmit genetic information, making it a good candidate for fast hereditary molecule. Just look at this picture. When we are discussing about the central dogma theory, that means DNA to RNA, RNA to protein. This DNA converted to RNA, novel RNA processing process, the replicate or self-replicating property is here. This catalytic role explains what? Some RNA molecules known as ribozyme can catalyze chemical reaction, including self-replication of RNA itself. So ribozyme discovery is very, or as a more contribution to this RNA world hypothesis, supporting that RNA was the first genetic material. This capability is central to the hypothesis as it suggests that RNA could have support its own propagation without taking help from other. So these are the evidences which support RNA world hypothesis, the discovery of ribozyme, central role of RNA in modern biology. Central role means in central dogma theory you can see, and RNA can evolve in the laboratory also, laboratory experiments, so that RNA molecules can evolve new function through selection, and probiotic synthesis experiment. Like studies have demonstrated that nucleotides, which is called as RNA building blocks, can form under conditions resembling early Earth. Okay, so these all are the evidences, they support the RNA world hypothesis. These are the prebiotic chemistry and RNA formation. The RNA world hypothesis fits into broader context of prebiotic chemistry. That means the study of how organic molecules could have formed from inorganic precursor on the early Earth. Miller-Urey experiment already have explained, demonstrated that simple organic molecule can be synthesized under conditions that stimulate early Earth's atmosphere. And this point to possibility that the building blocks of RNA or nucleotide could have formed abiotically. Then formation of RNA. Once nucleotide form, they may have in the permutation combination, they may have polymerized into RNA molecule and capable of self-replication. When RNA capable of self-replication, that means they take all the charge of cellular reproduction, storing of genetic material, catalytic activity. When cell have or cell can store the genetic material, cell have the catalytic activity, they can change to new cell. They can convert the daughter cell. Okay, so this explains us that RNA was the first substance which formed in the proto cells. Then this is another concept of RNA world hypothesis, that transition to DNA and proteins. DNA formed from RNA. Already in the first part, I have explained that RNA is less stable, making DNA more reliable molecule for long-term genetic storage. DNA is complex, RNA is simple. And just compare the simple cell, unicellular organism and today's multicellular organism. For unicellular organism, for simple organism, simple substances were there. For complex organism, complexity is there. Complexity is the DNA. Simplicity is the RNA. So RNA forms the DNA. And also RNA forms the proteins. All we know that many enzymes are responsible for different catalytic activities in our body. Metabolic activities are regulated by enzymes. And RNA play an important role in this concept. From RNA, protein is formed, not directly from DNA. DNA converted to RNA, then this mRNA is responsible for protein formation in central dogma theory. Already we have mentioned in previous slide. It explains that RNA was the first which was multi-nature, and that multi-nature property helped the primitive cells to survive, to grow, to multiply, and form the complex organism. Okay. Got some idea about this thing?
Yes, sir.
So many challenges are also there in RNA world hypothesis. RNA was instable, not stable. So some scientists made their question that how this RNA was present in the primitive life. Atmospheric condition was not proper. So many challenges are there for RNA world hypothesis. So apart from all these challenges, many scientists support RNA world hypothesis. And it explains about the chemical evolution or successful chemical evolutions. How chemogeny and biogeny are related, or how life originated from RNA. It is the very excellent explanation. RNA world hypothesis was the excellent explanation for this. Okay, so for today, these all my presentations are in front of you. If any confusion, if people can ask me question for last 10 minutes. If any small doubts are there, I'm unable to clear all the doubts within this specific time, within this stipulated time, but I'm trying to clear some doubts of you. So now it is open for all, one by one. If you want, you
Sir,
can
I have
ask
a
me
doubt.
certain questions. Yes.
Sir, during examination, so many questions if will arise from Lamarckism, yeah, Darwinism, yeah, Neo-Darwinism. So they have already suggested and explaining all those things by their word. So whenever we will going to be appear that question, so at that time what we will do? We will write it by our own word. We will only copy paste those type of sentences which they have already given.
Writing by your own is always welcoming process. But you have to mention that concept provided by them. If I am talking about natural selection, I'm not writing whatever is written in the book Origin of Species by Darwin. I'm writing it by my own. But my explanation always in support of Darwin's explanation. My explanation must support that explanation. Then only you will get mark.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Any other questions?
Sir, I have one doubt.
What's your doubt?
Sir, can you again explain the abiotic synthesis and the formation of RNA? Cannot understand this.
Abiotic synthesis means biotic synthesis is the organic synthesis. When we are talking about the chemogeny, chemical evolution, the very beginning component, just look at this. These things, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, are very simple substances at its atomic stage. Okay, that means they are not biological substances, they are abiotic substances. When they combine in different ratios, here, just look at this picture. When they combine in different ratios, they form certain substances like nucleic acid, like amino acids, like fatty acids. These are the polymer. Okay. And this fatty acid, when they come to its complex structure, they form fat. Amino acid form protein. When they combine to each other, they form the life. In different ratio, they form the life. Okay. And the
Yes, sir.
second is RNA formation. For RNA formation, how the RNA is formed, you have to read it from your molecular biology part. I'm just explaining a very brief how RNA is formed. It's a first you have to go for the structure of RNA. That it has ribose sugar, it has phosphate group, it has nitrogenous base like adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. Okay. So formation of RNA explains what? That RNA is synthesized by enzyme called RNA polymerase, which uses a DNA template and builds RNA by joining ribonucleotide. Ribonucleotides including ATP, GTP, CTP, UTP, all these things. Actually, I don't have much time to explain all these things because these are not my part. These are parts of your molecular biology. So first go through that. If you want to
Yes, sir.
understand RNA world hypothesis properly, then go through that. I can explain in a very brief manner how RNA is formed. There are different steps. I'm just explaining in a very brief. First step, how ribose sugars are formed, how nitrogenous base are formed, how ribonucleotides are formed. That means ribose plus nitrogenous base nucleosides. Nucleoside plus phosphate group, they form nucleotides. Okay. And in the last phase, polymerization of nucleotides to form RNA. This structure is the polymerization of nucleotide. Okay, this is the polymerization of nucleotide. Got it?
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, what is isolation mechanism in modern synthetic theory?
In modern synthesis theory, isolation mechanism.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. I'm going to the slide. You are asking about this third point.
So generally there are 3 points that that's a variation, then natural selection or speciation, and another one is isolation. So what is isolation in Darwinism?
Okay. Isolation in general concept. If one species got some new property or loses some properties, the species feel itself isolated from the previous one. Due to what? Due to that variation. And that variation means the loss or gain of that property. Okay. If we have two forelimbs, after 100 generation or 200 generation, a special kind of man population will come having four forelimbs. Try to get my point. It's a hypothetical point. Just I am giving this example for understanding. That means that gaining of more two forelimbs are the evolutionary property for which those organisms, they feel isolated from the before 100 generation organism. The new organism having four forelimbs are the formation of new species. That is the concept of speciation. And for that speciation, the new species feeling isolated in Darwinian concept from the original species, from the mother species. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any other confusion?
Sir, one question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, yes, sir, one question. Sir,
Yes, definitely.
so from the entire discussion, what come to my mind is that from Miller's experiment also, perhaps virus is the border between living and non-living thing.
Yes. Virus
So
till
it is
date is a
border.
controversial statement.
Sir,
Before your question, I'm asking certain
sir,
things. Virus till date, it's a
sir.
controversial statement whether it is living or non-living. That's why we can or we may or may not put itself in the intermediate state. It's depend on our presentation. If we are presenting that virus is a living, then we can make virus as a living substances. So many properties we can present that makes virus is a non-living substances. Okay. Now come to your question. What is your question?
Sir, actually, I want to know when the virus get inside the body, it become a living being. But when it reside outside the body, it become a non-living thing. So what I
Non-living.
think, maybe non-living thing. So I think it is the border between the living and non-living thing.
Uh, that might be,
Sir,
but we,
sir, sir,
yes.
sir. Sir, by producing, so in this way, by Miller's experiment, if we produce different virus, can we come to our origin? How the evolution of
No,
human being come into
from
existence?
Miller's experiment, they only produce certain things, certain amino acids.
Sir, sir.
How how you conclude that from Miller's experiment you can produce one virus?
Sir, virus. Producing different virus, can we come into the conclusion that human being, particularly the human being, that evolved from the virus?
No, that is not. Uh, uh, it's a question of what I can say.
Sir,
Like it's a question of very brilliant student.
no,
It's
no,
a
no, sir.
no. It's
Sir,
that type of
I
question.
want to know
I,
from
I
sir.
put you in that intermediate state that it might be a question of a brilliant student, or it might a question of the student who cannot understand anything.
Sir,
Okay,
sir,
we can't. So many scientists are working on it. I'm
sir.
not the scientist. I'm just the teacher who is presenting something, whatever
Sir.
discovered by the scientist.
Nice, sir. From your point of view, it may or it may not,
No,
or there is
Big
no
Bang
evidence.
theory, Big Bang theory was there.
Sir,
From that also, we unable to get our origin properly.
sir, sir, sir.
We can just hypothesize.
Okay, sir.
If
These are
you
nothing
want to
but the
hypothesize,
hypothesis, sir.
yes, evolution is only based on this hypothesis property.
Sir,
We
sir.
can't say that by discovering certain virus, we can get our ancestor.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So I think all you enjoyed the class.
Sir, we enjoyed very much, sir. We enjoyed very much. Although it is a boring subject, but you make it very pleasant.
Yes, sir. We all are enjoying the class.
ସାର୍ ପିପିଟି ସ୍ଲାଇଡ୍ ସେୟାର କରିବେ?
Sir, one question, sir. Last.
Any question?
Sir, one question at last. Sir,
Yes.
isn't Lamarck's theory of acquired of inheritance of acquired characters and Darwin's theory of natural selection is not that these are same?
No, these are not same. Lamarckian theory explained about only the acquired properties. He didn't explain about the variation.
Yes, sir.
According to him, organism, if acquire the property, that only can change to next generation. That means there is a give and take relationship.
Yes, sir.
But according to Darwin, variations are there, and those variations, all the variations are not transforming to the next generation. Certain variations transfer to the next generation. and those variations are transforming to the next generation, and those organisms bearing those variations are the fittest organism. But he unable to explain about the arrival of those variations. So in that point, we can segregate Lamarckian theory and Darwinian theory.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
So this all.
Sir,
So I'm
sir,
going to close.
modern theory.
Yes.
Sir. Sir, modern theory is a combination of Darwin theory and Mendel theory. Then
Yes,
Mendel,
yes.
Gregor Mendel's theory.
Modern synthesis is purely combination form of Darwinian and Mendelian theory.
Sure, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So thanks to all for your patience, for hearing me. I'm going to stop. We'll meet
Sir,
tomorrow.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you
sir.
very much, sir. Very
Sir,
much.
PPT slide ଟିକେ share କରିବେ